For people who are very interested in anyone who worked on an album like Space Oddity, I have to ask, hearing how those albums have been remastered, since when they were originally recorded, what do you think of the quality of the job on things like Bowie's back catalog? Hearing what you heard in the studio, and hearing what's coming out of the speakers now. What's that like?
It's very interesting. You see, one of the things that people kind of forget is one of the big problems in studios in the 60s and even the early 70s was getting consistent monitoring. It was really difficult to get speaker systems that were consistent. I mean, at Trident Studios, when we did Space Oddity and when we did Hey Jude, we had a 4-speaker setup, and these were Tannoy speakers in what were known as Lockwood cabinets. And a lot of this stuff had come from the BBC and from theatres and things like that. And so the consistency from one speaker to another was not very good. You'd record a kick drum on one speaker, pan it over to the right speaker, and it'd be a different sound. And I think what's happened now, and it was an interesting thing, when they redid all the Beatles stuff at Abbey Road, that one of the things that's changed dramatically now is we have really good monitoring systems. So I think people are able now to, on these new and very consistent and very clear and clean monitoring systems, really able to hear the detail in the mixes that we probably weren't able to hear, to be honest with you. And so that, I think, has made a lot of difference. And so, the things do sound different because they're done in a modern way. They're done on modern monitoring systems. So I think that's a large part of it, So it's very difficult for me to judge because when I did that stuff, the monitoring was so different, And we take for granted now the quality of monitoring that we have. There was a great disparity in those days between what you heard on your home hi-fi system and then you walked into a studio, and the difference was there was nowhere else that you could go to listen to that quality. Now we listen to that quality on iPods, we listen to it at our home, and we take it all for granted. And it's what a lot of people now don't quite realise. So it's a long-winded answer to your question, but I hope it had some bearing on what you're saying about the remastering of it. Obviously, with modern technology and modern techniques, they are able to bring things out of those original recordings that possibly we missed. And also, of course, are more suitable to the modern ear now that has got more used to listening to that kind of quality. So I think that kind of comes back to answering the question.
Just one last question, getting back to the console itself here for a second. What do you think, over the years there have been so many innovations, too many to count. What has been the most important innovation that allowed you to create something of this quality the way that you did? What do you think was the big leap forward, or a succession of leaps forward?
I don't think there have been any, really. I'm saying that this is a console that really is designed as I would do 20 years ago, so it's not a great leap forward. I think, it's not so much a leap forward, it's the way that the industry has changed. We're doing a lot more with computers. The industry changed, 10, 15 years ago when it became possible to stream audio onto a computer and get it back with a reasonable sort of quality. That changed everything because now you could use a recorder, a PC, to record audio of acceptable quality. That changed the industry. And of course then there was a move away from analog, who needs an analog console now, we've got it all in the box. What has significantly changed in the last year or two is people have realized that, hey, analog still has a place, and B, mixing outside the box definitely has a fuller, fatter sound to it. So I wouldn't say technology has changed. What has changed my direction is the fact that over the last probably 6 or 7 years, being able to manufacture overseas to high quality has meant that I'm able to design something now that I can get out to the marketplace at a much more affordable price that I couldn't do. If I was making these in England in relatively small quantities, this console would cost 4 or 5 times as much. And that's what people have to realize. They're getting a console that in dollar value is actually probably 4 or 5 times the price that they're paying. But because we can manufacture in quantity and get the quality, everybody wins. Everybody wins.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Joe Wallace for Gearwire.com.